is, well, if you have, we have three kinds of Alzheimer ApoE, which is E2, E3, E4. E3 is normally the main type, genotype, but the E2 is a reduced risk. It's even in Canadian population correlated with longevity, and the E4 is a higher risk. Cancer, we have glutathione S-transferases, which are null types. The M1 and T1 null types are susceptible to lung and bladder cancer. And the NAT2 is an N-acetyltransferase, which transfers in the second phase as well of the detoxification acetyl groups on this molecule to make it water soluble and that it can be excreted by the kidneys. But NAT2 is as well susceptible for colon cancer. Nitric oxide is another thing which is involved in heart disease, and we know that nitric oxide is not only working via the as a signal giver for oxidative stress, nitrosative stress, is as well a very important signal enzyme which makes nitric oxide, and nitric oxide relaxes the vessels, one of the very famous effects of Viagra. And we have nitric oxide, it takes variation. It's a higher risk for myocardial infarction and myocardial infarction, especially in smokers. 2C9 as well. Then we have some as well. When we have higher, we have as well lower as well. So cytochrome 250 enzymes is phase number 1 of the detoxification. They oxidize and catalyze steroids, vitamin D, fatty acid, as well as arachidonic acid. And that's the point when you ask me why is it a risk factor for myocardial infarction, because it increased pro-inflammation with arachidonic acid. Okay, so there are some enzymes. So at the end of the day, personalized therapy means an interdisciplinary challenge of all of us. So every doctor, that's what I mean, every doctor should be involved in this. I can only ask you to tell your colleagues and friends about this. They should come next time to the lecture of Dr. Nasri and learn from her, because it's actually extremely important. Adverse drugs effects, when we see that the fourth to fifth highest cause of death in developed countries, but nobody knows this. Adverse drugs effects, because only we don't know, we don't check the genes if the drugs are good metabolized or not. 2 million people a year hospitalized in the US. In Germany, the numbers are 13% of all people who are hospitalized, admitted to hospital, are admitted to hospital because of adverse drug effects. 30%. You can easily calculate in a population of 80 million people what that means and cost. And then 100,000 deaths in Germany is about 40,000 deaths. It's come from a study from the University of Hanover. In the UK, about 10,000 a year die, cost to the national health system more than 450 million pounds a year. It's a lot. So we could save money, we could save life if we go and see the systems. The most important system in all this detoxification of medication, hormones, and all is the cytochrome P450 system. It's a phase 1. Phase 2 are the glutathione S-transferases, sulfotransferases, aryl transferases, and so on, acetyltransferases. The 2C9, for example, is a very important, for my opinion, very important thing. NSAIDs, diclofenac, how many people take diclofenac? Or ibuprofen. Then oral hypoglycemic, angiotensin 2 blockers. A lot of people combine this even, doctors combine this. If the patient has a poor metabolizer in this, they combine irbesartan with diclofenac, for example, or ibuprofen. They get a detoxification very fast because they block each other as well. They are competing for this enzyme. So that's a big thing. 2C90, for example, is another very interesting gene variation, especially in where I live in Asia. That about 25% of all Asian 2C90. But there's nothing, and no, if you buy a medication in Asia, it's always a little adventure, because you don't know if it's from China, it's in a copy or not. So, but at the end, if you buy the right one, even there, it's not in the paper, it's not standing here, stop. If you're Asian, ask your doctor for checking your gene before you take it. 2C90 is for example, Valium, GABA, and all this stuff. We have, and coming to this, we have significant ethnic variations. You know, the 2C90, here the right 60%, 20% about is more correct. You know, 2C9, 6% of all Caucasians, this is us, you know, 35% 2C6, and so on. Here, 2E1, 30 to 40% of Asians are 2E1 poor metabolized. So nobody knows. He takes the medication, but he doesn't know what happens. And at the end of the day, it's just the exchange of one of the bases, which at least has a different protein and a different 2C9. Increase only decides the C into the T, decides if there is a normal or decreased enzyme activity. So this can be improved, as Dr. Nancy already said, giving the right drug at the right dose to the right patient at the right time, and select your patient, select your medication and the dosage. You know. Here the 2C9 again, see that the different medications are different clearance. You know, the intrinsic clearance is different. And in the reverse drug reaction, if we see this here, for example, this is typical for the 2C9 polymorphism. If they take phenytoin, phenytoin is an antiepileptic. You see the hyperplasia of the gingiva. The problem is ataxia, nystagmus, drowsiness, gingiva hyperplasic grade 2. You know? So the girl, this girl, may have side effects as well to warfarin and others, losartan, irbesartan, etc., diclofenac, and all the other stuff which is involved. Especially when they are prescribed together. And you find always if grandma comes out of the doctor's office, he comes with a big package of the medication, probably they are all competing with each other. And warfarin, for example, has typical bleeding complication 4 times more when there's a situation. So there are tables for you as a doctor where you can, calculate the dosage for the patient following the genetic result. This is important that you can reduce the dosage 20 to 60% of the standard doses or whatever. So you can do this. I'll show you a case. This is a case as a female, postmenopausal, date of birth in 1952, family colon cancer, father and myocardial infarction mother. She is under HRT, bioidentical hormone treatment with progesterone, estradiol and estriol, aspirin, selenium, phytoestrogens, isoflavones, exercise. Genetic profile showed PI1, plasminogen activator 1 is antifibrinolytic, gene involved in myocardial infarction, blood clotting. So she has a higher activity of this antifibrinolytic, the balance yin and yang between prothrombotic and fibrinolytic. The estrogen receptor alpha is the ESR1 gene involved in response to estrogen. Vitamin D receptor, small b, is involved in osteoporosis and breast cancer. ApoE involved in lipids, cardiovascular disease, and Alzheimer's disease, and glutathione transferase M1 and P1 null mutation. The NAT2 was as well. The NAT2 shows in the NAT2 there are 4 different subtypes here, and they are very much here. It's a nice study from the Turkish population, distribution of NAT1 genotypes in the Turkish population. You see here, the wild type is the most common one, but there are a lot of others as well, as you can see. And we know that NAC, and acetyltransferase 2, is polymorphism is involved in colonic cancer family has colon cancer. Colon cancer prevention, what can you give the patient home? You can tell her a meta-analysis of 19 case control and 11 association studies with 20,850 and 1,136,110 participants respectively found that aspirin 300 milligrams daily significantly reduces the risk of colon cancer. So the big study, that's a big study, you can't say anything. So you would recommend it. She takes already aspirin, so you would recommend her aspirin for the colon cancer prevention. Besides, we're going to talk about what you can do as well. It's reducing, increasing the fiber intake. For example, not drinking fruit juice, but eating fruits. The fruit juice. The fruit juice is the worst what happened in our time, because the fruit juice is God gave us the fiber and we put the fiber out. So we drink this, and this is pure fructose, and fructose is a ketone body, and the body never allows ketone bodies to be at the end of the day involved in the metabolism, because they are very frequently out of the metabolism and they are stored as fat, triglycerides. So it's at the end of the day, it's very extremely important to say don't take fruit juice, take good fruits, fiber, and green tea is very important for colon cancer. And it's curcumin as a strong antioxidant in detoxification, curcumin from curry, or turmeric, you can call it turmeric. So you have a lot of lists which you can run. This is how we do this. And then we say you should control actually your colon, as well by colonoscopia. And in between we can do the special stool tests which are involved with blood in the stool and hemoglobin and so on. So moreover we have the primary and secondary prevention of cancer with antioxidants. With antioxidants, a meta-analysis of 68 randomized trials found that the primary prophylaxis with selenium, but not with vitamin A, C, or E, significantly reduced the overall mortality. And this is especially in this case of cancer risk and myocardial infarction. You see the selenium here study. You see very good that selenium increases the survival rate. Then you have the glutathione transferase, which is a phase 2. Glutathione will be transferred to the molecule, which already is probably not good detoxified. And if it's not good detoxified, it can be oxidized, and this oxidation product, we call quinone or semiquinone, can be attached to the DNA and cause DNA breaks, and thereby causing cancer. And for this reason, it's extremely important to have a good working glutathione transferase. For this, you need glutathione. What is glutathione? Glutathione is tripeptide, which is built up from cysteine, especially from cysteine and glutamine. And cysteine is a sulfur group inhibitor, so sulfur group has sulfur groups to bind to this molecule. So in the end of the day, it's good to have glutathione. Glutathione itself is not absorbed orally, so you can give it either as an IV form by injection, like a detoxification regimen, where you give it the Tanzanil. Tanzanil is one of these medication for 2 weeks, 2 to 3 times a week. IV is sodium chloride, 500 milliliter solution in vitamin C. Or you give an acetylcysteine, which is as well very good. This provides your body with acetyl groups for detoxification and glutathione as well. Yeah, cervical neoplasia as well involved in the GST. A lot of cancer, bladder cancer, lung cancer is involved in this glutathione transference. Glutathione is one of the most important molecules we need. So, individuals with GST-M1, GST-P1 null mutation have significantly elevated risk of lung bladder cancer. Smoking is a risk, and if you have a smoking person which has this combination of these glutathione transferases, I would really focus more on this situation that you have to control this lung, and how can you control. They even advise a yearly spiral computed tomography of the lung, which I think is, for my opinion, too much, because the spiral computed tomography is a lot of risk as well for the lung cancer itself, secondary lung cancer induced by radiation. So I would not say yearly, but probably 2 to 3 yearly, and they did it here in this International Early Lung Cancer Action Program and had an 88% reduction of lung cancer found. Okay, the PI1. The higher the PI1 level, the higher the risk for blood clotting and myocardial infarction. Clotting more not in the venous system, in the arterial coronary system. And you see that this woman has a 4G genotype, and this genotype is associated with higher activity of this PI1, and for that reason you should give her as well aspirin. She has aspirin 300 milligram a day, but that's fine. Exercise is another one. It's a good study with Kulaputana and others. They found that they improved the PA activity when they do exercise regularly, which is true. You find lower. It's true until what we always find until a special amount of exercise. So what's the individual amount? I work in a big Olympic training center in Thailand, and when you see that the Olympics, they have the triathletes, for example, they have a lot of triathletes. They have a high risk for clotting as well. Triathletes have an extremely high because they drink too much. That's the problem. And when there's a good study came out in the last month about drinking and exercise. People who do exercise in glass, they have, on the other hand, easily they get a problem with the intestinal problem because the flora changes. And when the flora changes, they get a leaky gut syndrome. Leaky gut syndrome increases the inflammation in the body, and so the inflammation as well is involved in the clotting. So it's a vicious circle. At the end of the day, you only can say drink a lot when you're doing exercise, when you're sweating. That's extremely good. Sweating is good, but it's necessary to drink. Estrogen, oral estrogen therapy has been involved as well in PI1, reducing PI1 activity. The estrogen receptor alpha, this lady has as well. This was what I told you before. She has the effects of estrogen are very good for her. So on the other hand, you see the uterus, the female uterus only has estrogen receptor alpha receptors, not beta. We have two, alpha, beta. And the beta is the one that's the moderating one, the risk reduction one. The alpha is the extremely one. It's a very progressive one. And that's why this woman has a tendency to get myoma in the uterus. The woman has a big myoma, you really can say she has an estrogen receptor alpha polymorphism, because it makes her so susceptible to this. On the other hand, she has a lower risk for heart disease, because with estrogen therapy, she increases the HDL, which is not happening. You see this is genotype here. The CC genotype makes the estrogen receptor alpha, makes the hormone replacement to increase the HDL very much. The other genotype doesn't do it as much as this CC genotype do. Yeah, she has osteoporosis risk, higher, significantly higher risk, and for this osteoporosis. Breast cancer meta-analysis gave us a lot of genes which are involved in this. I just want to show you this NAT2, which we had before for this woman, NAT2. Breast cancer is in the family, as you know. Here the NAT2. Then the TGF-beta receptor mutation, which if there is a mutation, it's a very high risk for colonic cancer, for breast cancer, leukemia, and for ovarian cancer. And this vitamin D receptor FOC metabolism is involved as well in breast cancer. So this is always important to see that. You can see this. So in this case, when she wants estrogen, sometimes it's good to reduce the breast cancer risk. What we give as gynecologists in the way is that we go down with we go on raloxifene. Raloxifene has good results. You have to control the uterus because all this is, as well working on the estrogen receptor alpha. Here you see non-invasive breast cancer in this raloxifene and not. ApoE4. The ApoE4 is interesting as well. As I told you, we have in ApoE4 very good data regarding exercise, regular exercise. But there's as well a pharmacogenetic study with simvastatin. Simvastatin made a risk reduction 0.33, which is an ApoE4 genotype. And so if there is coming to a statin in this woman, you should probably go on the simvastatin. This is showing probably very good the risk of reduction under statins in E4 carriers. So, one case I want to finish with, I find it's a very important case, Dolores' case. It's not a true case. It's a fantasy, but a fantasy of the future. And probably you understand with this fantasy. I've tried to make it easier understandable. There's a woman called Dolores. Dolores completes the Surgeon General family history. She comes to her Surgeon General. At the age of 18, learns of uncle with early heart disease. She consults her MD, who suggests complete genome sequencing for $1,000 US. She inquires about the risk of genetic discrimination, but federal legislation has outlawed this already. She is found to have 3 gene variants, and well-validated studies have conclusively shown increase the risk of early heart attack by 5. She and her MD designed a program of prevention based on diet, exercise, and medication precisely targeted to the genetic situation. Dolores' study continues. She does well until age 75. She develops left arm pain that she assumes is due to the gardening, but her MD notes a higher risk and diagnoses acute myocardial infarction. Referring to her genome sequence, the drug that will work best to treat her are chosen. She survives and is alive and well in the 22nd century. But when it becomes a nightmare. The Surgeon General Family History Initiative never really takes off, and her MD is too busy to ask about family history, so Dolores never learns about family history. Dolores is offered genome sequencing, but after seeing her brother lose his health insurance from this information, she declines. Dolores eats an unhealthy diet, gains weight, and develops hypertension. While tests to predict which drug would be most effective for Dolores have been proposed, they have never been validated and not reimbursed. Dolores' hypertension is treated with a drug that causes hypersensitivity reaction, so she stops the treatment. After 10 years of uncontrolled hypertension, Dolores develops left arm pain at the age of 45, not 75, 45. Her MD, unaware of a high risk, assumes this is a musculoskeletal and prescribes a rest. Dolores returns to the ER the next day in cardiogenic shock. The absence of a genome sequence information prevents optimal choice of therapy. Dolores dies in the ER, emergency room. So that's the other side of the story. So now you can probably see from this example what does it mean at the end of the day if we talk about early detection, preventive medicine. It has a high impact on the life of everybody of us. So the tracking, understand adverse effects means we have to know paternity, genealogy. We have issues of identity, profiling, right to know genetic information. It's a right to know. I don't know if everybody of the doctors is aware that just don't know, from my experience, 50 or 60% of the doctors says, oh, that's all nonsense. If they don't care, they don't read. Only 40%, 30% probably say, okay, that is very interesting, I will see and look, or send you to a special doctor. There's still lack of insurability, employment discrimination, that's another thing. So that's what they fear the most, the people that employ the company, gets aware of the results of the test, and can say, okay, we don't want her, she will be sick soon, Therapeutic misconception, and as well as you know very well, necessary reproductive decision making. That's what you were working with for this EGA. The implications of genomic profiling, there may be emotional rather than practical benefits. Emotional meaning may be more relevant for very large amounts of genetic information and information on susceptibility and risk. People may react very differently to this kind of data, so you have to be careful, based on personality, coping strategy, context of the information. I know from my own experience, you can have people say, okay, so I know I do something, or others get nearly hysterical. Patients should be encouraged to consider the range of results, how they may cope, and the range of possible actions before testing. So you see here, that's what was a questionnaire where they asked a poll in the United States. What's mine? It's my own. Here, what they fear the most, where the genetic result can be mishandled. The less is the doctor, but the most is the employee. The health insurance, so law enforcement. I'm not aware of the Turkish law, but I don't think it can be given to another third party as well. So genetic testing in medicine can certify the risk of patients in terms of specific phenotypes, and allow early identification of individuals, give more information to persons at risk so that they can escape the so-called inherited fate. They can provide specific dietary recommendations, may also have predicted response. Side effects of the treatment can indicate the need for early initiation, and so on. Thank you very much. Any questions? I'm happy that's everything clear. That's very important to me. It has to be clear. Thank you very much.
Kendisi DETA'nın kurucularından ve Türkiye'de en fazla yayın yapan polimorfizmleri Türkiye'ye tanıştıran hocamız. Şimdi Yeditepe Üniversitesi Tıp Fakültesi Tıbbi Biyoloji Anabilim Dalı Başkanı ve yine bilim dünyasına yeni bilim adamları katıyor. Bizim de her toplantımızda olduğu gibi ondan bu teknolojilerin başında DNA'nın hikayesi nasıldı onu dinlemek istiyoruz. Konuşmasını yapmak üzere davet ediyoruz.
Bahçeşehir Üniversitesi Mütevelli Tıp Başkanı yoklar burada ama ben dekanına ve rektörüne bir de tabii ki sizinle biz uzun zaman beraber olduk.